All right, guys, we got to talk about this guy, Peter Thiel. We've talked about him a little bit on the show, but so this guy is, he's almost like a comic book villain of a billionaire robber baron. He's almost like a comic book villain. So take a look at this. This article just came out in the Washington Post. Inside billionaire Peter Thiel's private lectures, warning of the Antichrist and U.S. destruction, the Washington Post reviewed leaked audio from 4 off-the-record lectures the tech investor delivered in San Francisco over the past month that fused beliefs about religion and technology. So this guy did 4 lectures on the rise of the Antichrist and why we should all fear the Antichrist. Now, as you're about to see, and we'll go through it, if anybody is the Antichrist, it would be him. It would be him. So here, let's see what he says. Tech billionaire Peter Thiel recently warned that Swedish activist Greta Thunberg and critics of technology or AI are legionnaires of the Antichrist in private lectures on Christianity that connected government oversight of Silicon Valley to an apocalyptic future, according to recordings reviewed by the Washington Post. So what he's saying is, if you support any regulation on the tech billionaires and on artificial intelligence, if you support any regulation, you're the Antichrist. So in other words, this technology that they're working on, which is basically like trying to create a god in the computer, right? They're trying to create this artificial intelligence, this general intelligence where you don't even need to put a prompt in. It could just solve all your problems for you, cure cancer, do whatever. They're trying to create God in a computer, but they're saying that the people who are trying to stop these assholes from playing God, somehow we're the problem. The people who are saying, hey, let's preserve humanity and let's not fucking gamble on this and let's not make these huge data centers that pollute everything in sight and poison people and triple your fucking health, your energy bill. Say we're the problem somehow, but he's not. Okay, let's continue. In 4 roughly 2-hour lectures, which began last month and culminated Monday at the Commonwealth Club in San Francisco, Thiel laid out his religious views to a sold-out audience told to keep the contents off the record, according to an event listing. He argued that those who propose limits on technology development not only hinder business, but also threaten to usher in the destruction of the United States and an era of global totalitarian rule, according to the recordings. So, global totalitarian rule is what he's ushering in. That's what he's the Palantir guy. Palantir's creating this mass spying blackmail database network. That's what he's doing. He's doing the Patriot Act on human growth hormone and steroids. That's what he's doing. So he's trying to usher in totalitarian rule while he's saying his opponents are doing that. This is insane. By the way, also attacking Greta, this is a 22-year-old autistic activist who's literally just trying to deliver food and water and medicine to starving children in Gaza. And somehow she's the Antichrist? Oh my God. In the 17th and 18th century, the Antichrist would have been Dr. Strangelove, a scientist who did all this sort of evil, crazy science, Thiel said in his September 15th opening talk, according to the recordings. In the 21st century, the Antichrist is a Luddite who wants to stop all science. It's someone like Greta, he said, referring to Thunberg and Eliezer Yudkowsky, a prominent critic of the tech industry's approach to AI. That's fucking crazy, bro. That's crazy. By the way, you want to talk about who's stopping science? That would be Elon Musk, who cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels and research grants and medical grants and scientific research. This is what Elon cut with Doge. This is what Trump did. It's not that we're anti-science. We're anti totally unregulated artificial intelligence, which uses a tremendous amount of energy and has all these other problems associated with it, like with no regulation whatsoever. How can we tell what the fuck is real anymore? Right? There's that problem too. How can we tell what's real anymore? Look at the Sora videos and tell me we don't have a serious problem on our hands. What is this guy? And by the way, this is what he looks like. What is this guy doing running around talking about the Antichrist? First of all, in every single picture and video I've seen of this man, his face is sweating and his face is so oily that it looks like he has something wrong with him, right? I've made the joke that it looks like he's a vampire and he sucks the blood of babies before he ever has a camera on him every time. I mean, it is disturbing what this man looks like. There's also creepy stuff in his past with an ex-lover of his who wound up dead. I won't go into any more details on that, but that's a sketchy scenario. And then, of course, there was that thing that happened, a few months back where he did an interview with the New York Times conservative columnist Ross Douthat. He gave us these moments that made everybody, even people who nominally support him, were looking at him like, huh? Come again? Watch this.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit
Should
in this.
the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also.
But Greta's the Antichrist. You're the Antichrist. I'm the Antichrist because we want to regulate AI and make sure it doesn't destroy everything and everyone. Make sure it doesn't fucking quadruple your energy bills, right? We're the problem here. He's totally normal. He's totally fine. He can't directly answer if he wants humanity to survive.
I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so, it's always, I don't know, transhumanism is this, the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. And there's a critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context, or I don't know, transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross dresses. And a transsexual is someone where you change your penis into a vagina. And we can then debate how well those surgeries work. But we want more transformation than that. The critique is not that it's weird and unnatural. It's so pathetically little. And okay, we want more than cross-dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind and change your whole body. And then Orthodox Christianity, by the way, the critique Orthodox.
Jesus Christ. These guys are transhumanists, right? So they want to like be able to download their consciousness into a computer and live forever. How is this any different from some like actual, cartoon villain type shit, superhero villain type shit? It really does sound like that to me.
Christianity has of this is these things don't go far enough. Like the transhuman.
That's such bullshit too, because the criticism from Christians of trans people, for example, and conservatives against trans people is like, oh, it's degeneracy, it's unnatural. They're not saying, oh, we support that you've changed, but we want you to change more. We want you to have an artificial heart as well. That's not what they say. You're making this shit up.
Is just changing your body, but you also need to transform your soul, and you need to transform your whole self. And so,
right. But the other, wait. Sorry. I generally agree with what I think is your belief that religion should be a friend to science and ideas of scientific progress. I think any idea of divine providence has to encompass the fact that we have progressed and achieved and done things that would have been unimaginable to our ancestors. But it still also seems like, the promise of Christianity in the end is you get the perfected body and the perfected soul through God's grace, and the person who tries to do it on their own with a bunch of machines is likely to end up as a dystopian character.
Well, let's articulate this.
And you can have a heretical form of Christianity, that says something else.
I don't know. I think the word nature does not occur once in the Old Testament, and so if you and there is a word in which a sense in which the way I understand the Judeo-Christian inspiration is it is about transcending nature. It is about overcoming things, and the closest thing you can say to nature is that people are fallen, and that's the natural thing in a Christian sense is that you're messed up, and that's true. But there's some ways that with God's help, you are supposed to transcend that and overcome that.
So these people are anti-human. Peter Thiel is anti-human. That's what this is. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And this guy also wants total control, right? He wants total control. He wants to live in his own little protected corporate fiefdom. And, this was one of the ideas laid out by Curtis Yarvin, this right-wing philosopher who all these guys like, is this idea that, the tech oligarch billionaires should basically get their own little fiefdoms where they're basically little emperors. And they have total control, and there's no regulation of them whatsoever, and there's no taxes on them, and everybody basically is a slave peasant living under their system, underneath them. But it gets weirder. Here we go.
This is... My very specific question for you, right, is that you're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done. So
In other words, this is total psychological projection happening. There's total projection happening by Peter Thiel. You're accusing Greta Thunberg, a 22-year-old autistic activist who's desperately trying to get food and water and clothes and medicine to starving babies in Gaza. Somehow she's the problem. The person who embodies the best of humanity and, you know, the revolutionary spirit of optimism and improving things and saving people and making their lives better and looking out for their basic needs. Somehow she's the problem. If we were all like Greta, we'd live in a much better fucking world. But no, somehow, according to Peter Thiel, she's the Antichrist. People who want to regulate AI. He didn't even say ban. He said regulate AI is unacceptable. And meanwhile, he's the person creating the tools of Antichrist. I hope you guys understand what Palantir is, right? I hope you understand what they do. They are supercharging the Patriot Act. They are creating a mass blackmail database on literally all of us. They already have AI programs that the Israeli military is using to kill innocent people all over Gaza. They have they allegedly helped create the Lavender AI program, which gave the IDF all these military targets where they lit up all these innocent people. The Where's Daddy program, remember that? That was, they would wait for a Hamas fighter to go home when he's with his kids and his wife, and they would blow them up at home, purposely killing the children and the wives. This is what they do. And then they bragged about all the military help that they're giving to a genocidal regime. This is what they're ushering in, bro. They're going to know where you are all hours of the day. They're going to know exactly where you are at all hours of the day. They're going to create a database that has a file of everything you've ever done, good or bad, right? And they're going to use that against you as leverage. That's what he's in. He's in the data business. He's in the spying business. He's basically like the chief spy for the country, and he's snuggled up close to the Trump regime.
Right? Yeah, I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Notice how he phrased that. He said, how do you get to a world that's willing to permanently submit to permanent authoritarian rule? Listen to Peter Thiel's response.
Well, but again, there are these different gradations.
So he doesn't say, oh, that's not what I want. I don't want the world to submit to permanent authoritarian rule. He doesn't say that. He accepts that, and then he reacts. Like, of course that's what I want. And again, I'm the Antichrist. Greta's the Antichrist. You're the Antichrist. I don't know, bro. Look in the mirror.
Of this we can describe, but is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safetyism? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety.
So he ends this by making an argument against peace and safety. He seems to be lamenting that post-World War II, there hasn't been another world war. I mean, again, comic book evil villain. I mean, I remember back during the Bush era, everybody thought of Dick Cheney as like quintessential villain character. And he is, to be fair. This guy somehow has raised the stakes. He's raised the stakes. Here he is accusing everybody of being the Antichrist. Then he says, if you're for regulating my companies at all, you're the Antichrist. Meanwhile, he's creating this massive global surveillance system. He's creating these massive weapon systems, these AI bullshit systems that are being used to target civilians, snuggled up to power. Like, this is dark, bro. This is dark. So I'll end with this. Hey, Alex Jones, where the fuck are you? Because everything you said was going to happen is happening, but it's happening under Donald Trump. It's happening with Peter Thiel, all these Elon Musk, all these right-wing assholes that you've now snuggled up to and suck them off on a daily basis. They're the ones that are ushering in the permanent martial law, police state, Trump sending ICE and the feds into all these different Democratic cities, cracking the skulls of protesters, rounding people up with no due process, sending them to concentration camps, starting all these wars, right? Lying about getting peace between Israel and Gaza, total fucking nonsense. Israel's already violated the deal. Got all this stuff going on, all this horrible stuff. Got the mass surveillance state. And meanwhile, you're supporting it all. You're supporting it all. All the things you said would come to pass are coming to pass, but the right is doing it, and so you like it. So, just absolutely disturbing and disgusting. And these people truly are demonic, man. They absolutely are. It's wild to see. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.